Queens of Heart, Community Therapists in Drag began as a field project carried out by graduate students in a psychology course at Portland State University. The project developed from a short video to a 4-year study of performer and audience interactions at Darcel 15, a female impersonation club in Portland, Oregon. By enlisting methods in social action research, an area within psychology that emphasizes community collaboration, the production team worked closely with the drag performers and queer activists in the process of creating the feature-length documentary. Over 200 hours of raw footage were analyzed, using a coding manual that was based on initial interviews and observations at the club. The manual consisted of a series of themes with corresponding codes that were then applied to segments of the footage. The storyline for the documentary was constructed around those themes, and video work samples presented to the community to ensure the faithfulness of the documentary to the participants' actual experiences. Psychologists and laypeople alike often hold simplistic and stereotypical notions about cross-dressing. To challenge those assumptions, one set of questions in the pilot interviews focused on the performers' own motivations for engaging in drag. Their reasons for doing this kind of work often diverged from what the interviewed audience members assumed about the motives of performers. Here are selections from the interviews that were coded as Theme 1 in the coding manual, Motivations for Drag.
The way I became a female impersonator is really very interesting. I was perhaps 12 years old, maybe, and I was living in Eugene, Oregon at the time with my mom. And we were out and about, and the Gay Pride Parade went by us. And we were held up by it in the traffic, and this float went by that was filled with these drag queens. And all I could see at that age, and all I really understood was, wow, that's awfully glittery and glamorous. What are they doing? And so I asked my mom, and my mom being a very open person, explained it to me exactly what they were, and I knew at that very minute, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
But once you put all the drag and all the stuff on, it's not physically comfortable, but it's a mental release. You get to be somebody else and forget about your other problems. And in turn, you're helping other people forget about their problems because they're sitting there and they're watching you and they're going, wow, where is it?
Well, I became a female impersonator quite by accident, actually. My friend had a Halloween party and wanted to go as Barbra Streisand. So I said, well, that's kind of fun, and he didn't want to do it alone, so he asked me to do it and go as Donna Summer. So I did, and all of his friends had no clue who I was. They thought I was actually a real woman, which I couldn't imagine why or how. My chest was enormous, but they still thought that. And then I heard about this place called the Embers through that party, and I thought, oh, well, I'll go down there and see what they think. You know, I was just curious. I'd done theater for so long, and this was just another avenue of theater for me. So I thought, okay, I'm not really doing nothing in the legitimate, theater community, so I might as well give it a try. And so I went down to the Embers, and, my first night there, they were just loving it. And so I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try a little bit longer. And, so I've been doing it now for 9 years.
For me, being a drag queen, I think the sex is the spiritual side of what I do on stage. Me being a boy is more spiritual, and me being a person, being who I am as a person, not Destiny Lynn, me as Donald. I think there's more power in the sexual, than there is for me as being spiritual as a man. I think it's because men tend to be more sexually, they're thinking with head number 2 instead of head number 1 first.
We're not necessarily always glamorizing the persona of women. Sometimes we're showing people how ridiculous their perceptions are. That this woman is 6 feet tall and is a 44 double D chest with blonde hair so big she can barely fit through doors. That's not a reality. We look at it as a glamorous and fun thing, but we're also saying, look at how ridiculous these stereotypes are. This is what this would really look like if you had what you believed you wanted.
I think I felt, being a drag queen, I was guilty too of some snobbery, and some snobbery. I think that's the best way to say that. That I felt I was above that. I was devastated in the beginning. When I first started doing the drag thing, because I was a little disappointed that I couldn't make. I still had the 2 identities going. I was still being masculine, and I didn't really want to be feminine. but I was still trying to be masculine, and I thought still in my own mind that the masculine side of me is the one that should be making the mark, not this feminine role. Isn't that's more like a clown? I can do that for a while, but I don't want to be a clown. I want to be a masculine image to make this all kind of, make myself work.
In the beginning, when I first started, we were an oddity, and everybody came and went, "Oh my gosh, you can do that!" That's the shock. The shock, yeah, the shock value was great, just because they were so, taken back by what we produced on stage.
Growing up, I had a little bit lower of a self-esteem, and my sister and I would actually. It's funny, we would make these songs up, and we would pretend that we were vain because it would like boost our self-esteem if we pretended that we were something else. When I first got hired at my current go-go job too, I had asked, well, do you want me as Tommy Boy or Tommy Girl? And Leonard said, oh, Tommy Girl, of course. And at first I was like, hey, that kind of hurts my feelings. I'm talented too, but
the Tommy Boy side
yeah,
was hurt.
But when I thought about it, I invented her for a reason. She is the pretty one. She's the popular one. I didn't have quite the same attributes. I had gotten so good that, like, I would have straight guys wanting to dance with me and buy me drinks, and I'm like, my own boyfriend isn't even treating me that nice. Why not, go out and be a supermodel for the night instead of some crying little shy boy at home?